Hi, this is Andrew Duncan, and today I'm going to be discussing my final portfolio for my technology and education course. Now, over the course of taking this class, we'll use several different softwares and programs, and I'm pretty much just going to discuss what they were and how I could possibly use them in a classroom and what I've learned from them. So the first tool that we discussed in this class is called Voki. Now what Voki is it's an online animation program in which you can create a character and make them say whatever you want them to say. So for our class, we pretty much used it as a way to introduce ourselves to our classmates since it was online and we didn't actually see each other. So a potential way to use this program in my future classroom would be to allow the students to make their own Voki avatars to possibly aid them in a presentation. I think it could also be used by the teacher as an explanation tool for students who have missed school for the day. So you could send them the link to kind of go through a brief version of your lesson just to make sure that they're not completely missing out on everything from the school day. So I think my favorite strength of Voki is that it has a huge variety of characters to choose from, which we can see in my Doberman avatar because I have two Dobermans. So I was like, oh, I got to pick that one, of course. And one of the main weaknesses I found is that the text to talk feature can often mispronounce words, which isn't a huge deal. You might just have to type things in incorrectly to get it to actually say what you want it to say. In terms of ISTE standards, it fits into the designer ISTE standard because the teacher creates a digital learning environment and character to support learning. So the second thing that we learned about in this class is copyright law. Now for our class, we used a plethora of websites to learn how to adhere to the standards of copyright law. So during this assignment we had to do, I learned the true importance of crediting people for their work. Now, throughout my years of school, I've always heard teachers say that we have to cite our sources or it was considered plagiarism. Now, of course, we all understand that, but it was never actually discussed in depth like it was in this class. When it comes to the pros and cons of copyright law, I truly don't see any cons at all because when people create something, they deserve ownership of their creation. And copyright law falls into the ISTE standard of citizen, as adherence to copyright law is an exhibition of socially responsible digital decisions. So the next thing that we learned about in this class is a program called Adobe Spark. Now, Adobe Spark allows you to make a presentation that's kind of like a very short, to the point PowerPoint. So in this class, what we used Spark for was to quickly describe our personal relationships with social media. Our clips were only about a minute long, which enabled me to not only see how simple the software was to use, but it also showed how simple it was to exemplify a point using this program. Adobe Spark could be used in my classroom to begin a lesson in a fun way, or the students could possibly use it to introduce a presentation of their own to the class. Now, in terms of pros and cons, while Adobe Spark is great for quickly making a point, it probably couldn't be used effectively for larger research-driven projects and assignments. Now, the ISTE standard shown by Adobe Spark is Analyst because it provides an alternative method for students to demonstrate their knowledge. So another rather interesting software tool that we used in this class is called PictoChart. Now, PictoChart is a tool that allows you to make infographic presentations. These presentations rely less on text than other types of presentations. However, they still get their point across because they're not using heavy paragraphs, which can be a bear to read through. Now, for this class, as you can see, I made an infographic on using gaming in the classroom. And I thought it was a lot more fun to make than a PowerPoint. And what was also really nice was it had some awesome graphics to use rather than PowerPoint's bland look, which is pretty much just kind of boring. So, I was able to find this one that was actually a game board, and I was able to incorporate a couple of statistics with its already pre-made charts, which was a very good use of the tool. So, in terms of classroom use, it could be very similar to what I used it for. So, a student could make a PowerPoint type of presentation, but have a little bit more fun with it to present their topic. Now, Pictochart meets two ISTE standards, one of which being Designer, as it is innovative digital learning environment to support learning. The other standard is Analyst, as it provides alternative ways for students to demonstrate their knowledge and learning. So the next topic that we discussed in this class was assessments. In this class, we learned about 4 different programs to use regarding assessments. Now, they were for different purposes, though. 2 of them were for the purpose of collecting information or taking polls, which were called Google Forms and Poll Everywhere. And the other 2 programs were Quizalize and Socrative, which are used to test the student's knowledge. These tools have taught me that out-of-class assignments do not have to be basic, boring worksheets. It can consist of online game-like quizzes as well. In terms of polling, I prefer Google Forms over Poll Everywhere as it was extremely easy to use and the setup was a breeze. And this is actually my Google Forms poll, which, as you can see, it was extremely simple to make and the actual test itself is very seamless. So when it comes to the quizzes, I liked Socrative and Quizalize because Quizalize was definitely easier to work with, but Socrative allowed you to add pictures to your quiz questions, which I show right here. If you're asking, let's say, states and capitals, you can easily show a little image of the state itself, which can just be another memory jogger, if you will. So these programs fall under the ISTE standard of Analyst as they are being used to design and implement formative assessments which provide timely feedback. So coming into the home stretch of this presentation, the very last topic that we discussed in this class was using Screencast-O-Matic to make video presentations. Now, what Screencast-O-Matic allows you to do is to record what is on your computer screen and then talk over the recording. Now, I personally think that it's an incredible tool because it allows classes like this one to actually function properly. I would have been completely lost in this class without the video instructions. And I really like that even after you view the lectures, you can go back and watch them again so that you can truly get the grasp of what your teacher or professor is trying to tell you to do. Now, this coincidentally is actually not my first time seeing this tool put to use. So last year I started at CalU as an accounting major, which of course that was before I realized where my true passion had lied. But my accounting professor relied on these video lectures as well. Now it was great because we were able to view the lectures before the class so that we were already prepared for our in-class activities. And here's actually an example of our video lecture from accounting last year as his D2L shell is still open. So in my personal classroom, I would incorporate this in the same way pretty much. It would also be extremely beneficial for students who are absent from school so that they don't fall behind, as I can simply post these online and have them watch them if they miss school, or even to prepare them for the day ahead. So, what I feel is a drawback of screencast lectures is that it can get a little bit boring and awkward, and what I mean by that is I always feel like I'm not able to get my point across as well because I can't make eye contact or truly express emotion while I'm using screencast. It's kind of just my boring voice blabbering on like it is right now. So in terms of ISTE standards, Screencast-O-Matic falls under the standard of leader, as it is essentially teaching just without using the classroom. So just to kind of wrap this up, I got all of my pictures from Unsplash, and then I used a lot of my own screenshots just because that way everything was free to use and I didn't have to worry about accidentally not adhering to a copyright standard or law. And then I would just like to say a quick thank you for this class because I learned a lot about a large variety of programs that otherwise I would have no idea that they existed. So that's about it. Enjoy the rest of winter break, even though it's only about a week.